One. Welcome to TechTalks. I'm Victor here with Julie, and this is the week where we're going to talk about Surface and the Microsoft unveiling of the new Surface products. That was a couple weeks ago, actually, but we're a little behind, so we're catching on up. And we also are trying to get better with our audio. So we are listening now, doing the whole, professional listening to ourselves. Right now, we only have one headphone so that we can do it through. So Julie's going to be the one listening to the audio as we go through.
I think for probably obvious reasons, but hopefully it will help me to speak to speak in a more smooth and even way. And right now it's really weird because I do hear everything just slightly slower. And so I'm getting used to that. And I am definitely a lot more aware of how awkward I sound.
Well, also, you are speaking more awkwardly, but also it's to help with because making sure that we are being heard on the audio too,
I don't
because
always
sometimes it breaks
articulate
out.
clearly. That's true. And I think sometimes I mumble, especially around these tech topics where I'm not very comfortable always with the topic, the content. I have no idea. So I guess this is a practice that we'll try, and it seems like it'll be helpful.
Yeah.
And
The only thing we can't really fix right now is the echo sound.
oh, is there one?
It's just because we're in a big room, and we
Oh,
have to, because we only have one microphone, we have to turn up the dial on that quite a bit so that we can hear both of us since I'm
he's
far away from it.
yeah, but you are naturally a bit louder,
I am a
and
bit.
it's not too bad hearing you from over there. Originally, we were set up on opposite sides, and he kept saying louder, louder. And I was finally, can we please just switch?
Switch, yeah.
So
It's
here we
smarter that
are.
way. So, today, a couple things. I wanted to start off with eBay
Oh my goodness,
is
eBay.
horrible. Just straight up horrible.
They seemed sketchy before, like always a little bit sketchy because you're buying from someone who knows who, just an anonymous, more or less person on the internet. But now,
Now, so I wanted to sell here. I have it right here. This LG Watch Sport.
I can help.
There you go. This LG Watch Sport. I've had it for a while. It was great at the time, but now was going to transfer over to Fitbit. And we've talked about the benefits of Android watches versus Apple watches versus Fitbit in the past, and moving over to Fitbit as my main watch would be the way to go for me. And I was gonna sell this, move over, and then I on eBay, as soon as I list it, I created my account, I list it. Within 12 hours, eBay suspends my account. I ask why, and they say that what is it, I violated the rules, and that's it. Like, that they didn't say any rules, they didn't give any path towards fixing it. They didn't say
Examples.
um examples of what.
Didn't they give you examples like it
Oh,
might
what?
be?
Yeah, what violation of the rules is? Either we don't have enough information on you, we you did something against our terms of service, or something along those lines. And then it says, like, if you, what is it? We might need to verify your account. So I figured it might have been because I had a new account and I might not have put something in that they wanted or something like that. So they needed verification of my account. But then they gave me no way to actually proceed with that. And when you're suspended from eBay, you actually get suspended from their help section. and their contact us ends up is just for you considered down. And what so I had to clear all my cookies and access their help section without having my cookies on, and so that way the contact us would actually let me email them. And then they said, oh well, your account posed a risk to eBay and its customers. And I don't know, this watch has been sold by many people on eBay, and ironically enough, we'll get to today, but this was Friday already when this happened. I don't know what kind of risk or anything that I posed by posting one item on eBay. I ended up speaking to a buddy of mine that used eBay quite often, and it turns out that eBay is actually just doing a lot of banning on individuals. They really only want companies, is what his perspective is, to sell on eBay, which is counterintuitive from what I understand eBay to be. But that's just, I guess, the way it goes. But be asking them. Today I got an email saying that my listing has been relisted, and it says everybody deserves a second chance. And then when I click on the listing, it wasn't my listing, it was somebody in Texas's listing for this watch. And then when I asked them again, they said nothing, and their automated email just says you have been banned and we should part our separate ways. The same email I got earlier or last week Friday.
eBay.
Totally useless. There's no way to access any person on eBay outside of the Twitter eBay help page.
This is unfortunate to me because I think it was nice for people who had things they wanted to sell to have a platform to be able to do that, and for people to be able to go and say, hey, I don't know what this is worth to anybody, but I don't need it anymore. Here, yeah. I don't care if it sells for a buck, but it won't go into the garbage at least. Or yeah, I want to make something. And that's what eBay was, and it was great. It was the biggest company I knew for that. And yeah, eBay is similar and local and you don't have the shipping, but for a lot of things, it's nice to have a more global, wider market like eBay. And I know Etsy is kind of similar and has blown up in recent years, but it seems more of the craft market. It's not like secondhand or any extreme of item. Like eBay was everything.
Yeah, the only thing that I've seen that's comparable, like I know you can sell on Amazon, but again, it feels like that belongs to the companies right? Companies that want to sell on Amazon.
Individuals don't do well through Amazon, it seems like.
Yeah, and I'm thinking the only thing that that is relatively comparable is Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, I didn't even. Oh, but that's like Craigslist.
It's very much like Craigslist.
Can you sell like distance and ship it through Facebook?
From what I haven't gone totally into it, but it doesn't seem like Facebook has a built-in like printing label thing like eBay did. But I mean, yeah, in theory, you would be able to sell it to anybody, and then you would just have to ship it to them, and then you just, you work out. It's more, there's less of a system to help facilitate that whole purchasing aspect. It's more of a system that helps you post on a giant garage sale, and then the details are left to the people. eBay had a really great system where you could put your details in that you're willing to accept, and if somebody else is willing to accept those details too, then it'll just facilitate the transaction, print out the label, and you get going.
Well, the integrated label printing for shipping was definitely nice, and I think PayPal
had the
also made
integration
it feel more secure, less sketchy.
Yeah, but now now I'm banned from eBay. After having an account for 12 hours. I used eBay maybe a decade ago, but then I haven't used it really since, outside of maybe to buy a few things for the store.
I have nothing I want to sell on eBay, but I've had an account forever. We could try with mine.
I'm not gonna bother. I'm actually almost half tempted to keep this as the thing eBay won't buy or won't sell.
Because
watch
it's
eBay
such
won't
a
sell.
risk.
Yeah, because it's such a risk. And then maybe when I'm rich and famous, I can bring it up again, and then eBay will be like, "Oh, we didn't know what was going on, but it was only because I'm rich and famous." And I'll be like, "Yeah, no, I'm just. This is gonna be your haunting."
So, so eBay definitely, I think, maybe gone by then with the way it's going, in my opinion.
Yeah, eBay
but-
doesn't seem to be doing that great, anyways. So, but that's my eBay story. Pretty crap company, I'd say.
Unfortunate customer service at the very least, and its direction doesn't seem pro-consumer.
No.
So, do you have this?
Yes. So now moving on to the Microsoft Surface that we talked about a little bit last week. They unveiled 4 new products a couple weeks ago, and that is the Surface Go, the Surface Book 3, and the Surface Earbuds and Surface Headphones.
Okay.
And so we'll start with the Surface. We'll start, I guess, with the overall Surface brand. The Surface brand originally was just a tablet
From Windows.
that had a full Windows on it, and
From Microsoft.
From Microsoft.
That has Windows.
Yeah, it has a full Windows on it, and it was built by Microsoft. And it was like their hardware line. It was kind of like the MacBooks, but for
And they started
Surface.
as laptops,
For
right?
They started as tablets
Tablets with the
with they had an
Keyboard?
attachable keyboard that you could do
from the beginning.
Yeah.
For the Surface.
and that was
Okay.
the Surface Pro, and then the original Surface, and this was Windows 8 when these came out. So the original Surface had 2 versions. There was the Surface and the Surface Pro. One of them had the full Windows 8 operating system. The other one had this light operating system that only allowed the new Microsoft Web Store apps, and it didn't allow anything else.
That sounds very
It
limiting
was-
and annoying.
I don't think there was a regular Surface after that. I think after that there was only the Surface Pro, because that was just a straight up fail.
Yeah.
So then they had the Surface Pro 2, and now I think they're up to Surface Pro 7, which we talked about a few weeks back, a couple months back actually, I think at this point. And the Surface Go is essentially that same tablet, but in a smaller form factor with less power, but a bit cheaper. It's almost like a netbook Surface version. And the pricing, though, is still pretty high, which makes it kind of weird. It's $400 starting. So it's not bad. I think a normal Surface Pro is closer to $1,000, right? So you're about half as much as a Surface Pro for a lighter,
How many
more-
inch? 10.5?
10.5 inch touchscreen. So it's about like an iPad that you're
Like a 10,
looking at. Yeah. And but I'm not exactly sure who is in the market for just like a less powerful Surface. But I mean, I'm sure I don't exactly know the market for that. But it's good to have a variety of things.
I'm sure there, potentially even in schools.
Schools, if they are like $400 is quite a lot for a school to spend.
And you
on.
need to be durable in schools.
Yeah.
iPads in schools, we pretty much always have to get a durable case.
Yeah. And so yeah, I'm not entirely convinced. But it's cool nonetheless for the people that want like an ultra portable kind of netbook, and they like the touchscreen features, right? And they like the whole idea of having a full Windows 10 with them. but they didn't want to go netbook kind of. Then we have the Surface Book 3. And this is where things get quite interesting, because the Surface Book is their second version of a laptop. They have two laptops. They have the Surface laptop, and then they have the Surface Book. And technically, all these are could be considered laptops, but the Surface Go and the Surface Pro are considered tablets more than laptops. And it's mainly because the keyboard, I guess the best way to explain it is the keyboard doesn't hold up the screen. You have ones where the keyboard holds up the screen and ones where the screen holds the keyboard, or just has an attached keyboard.
Yeah.
That's really the main.
The one that's called the book is more like a hardcover book, where the keyboard part and the other part are both hard, flat surfaces that connect to the spine.
Yeah, so the Surface Book and the Surface Laptop. The difference is the Surface Book is still a tablet attached to a keyboard, but the keyboard is a full frame keyboard that will turn it into a laptop-like structure. And while a Surface Laptop is just a laptop with almost like a MacBook, right? The Surface Laptop would be the equivalent to a MacBook for Microsoft. And the Surface Book, though, is equivalent of taking the idea of the Surface Pro tablet and giving it a full keyboard, and that keyboard gives it more power as well, which is quite a nice feature. So this Surface Book actually is, I think, the most powerful of any of the Surface lineup outside of the desktop that they have. Any of the Surface portable stuff is, and that's because this one will have the most powerful graphics card that they have for the Surface lineup, which I believe is a 1600, could be added to the Surface Book, and making it almost like a pretty equivalent to a gaming computer.
Wow.
And you can also, if you're in the industry, you can order an industry graphics card, which is even more powerful. But you have to order that separate. I guess you have to be part of the industry. They're not just letting any customer buy that version. And the main idea, though, is it's a laptop that you can pull out the screen and you turn it into a tablet. And the tablet won't have the graphics card in it. But if you wanted to keep it in tablet mode and have the graphics card, you could turn it around, attach it to the keyboard backwards, close the keyboard up, and then you still have the power of the graphics card with the tablet mode, and you can draw and anything like that.
Do you know, by chance, can you also then Bluetooth attach, say, a gaming controller?
Yeah.
Cool.
The Surfaces do have Bluetooth built in. Mouse, I believe, as well, you would be able to have a Bluetooth mouse. I don't think you'd be able to do both at the same time. That mostly.
I messed up. I can't hear it because
there you go. Is that better?
Yes. Sorry.
Okay. So with the Surface, though, the Surface Book, it's also the most expensive of the products. It starts at $1,500 or $1,600. So you get this power, but this power is not actually necessarily cost value when it comes to the power alone, because you could build something like this as a desktop for probably half that price. The extra money goes into the convenience of that laptop, tablet portability, and whether that's worth it to you. And to me, that's kind of, I'd say it is. If I was to get a laptop, I have a powerful desktop computer. So I would want a laptop that does a lot of the things I could do on the desktop, not necessarily everything, but on a portable mode. So if I'm traveling, I don't have to necessarily worry that I'm losing out on my ability to do things. like if I'd make videos or if we want to do a podcast. We've done this podcast on a crap computer, and you can tell frame rate stutters, things like that. So we would want to have something powerful enough. But I also like taking notes, and I like digitalized stuff. And that having the tablet version of that all in one, I wouldn't need a tablet and a computer. I would just have all in one kind of system. So to me, that's I could see a lot of hardcore computer users as that even if they don't have a desktop, they would and they just want a laptop that has the power of a desktop and likes to utilize tablets as well. This could be a very good value instead of buying two different systems, having it all in one.
It sounds good.
Next one is the Surface earbuds, and this came out a bit, I think, like a week later than the new Google the Google earphones that they have. The Google, what do they call them? The Pixel Buds is what they call them.
Oh, okay.
And they also came out at like 20 what is it, $30 more or something like that. So these are the Microsoft headphones. They're earbuds that you go in your ear, and they do exactly what you think. They Bluetooth to your phone. They have swiping features on the side. The buds themselves have a pretty big ring that goes. It's almost as bad as the AirPods that have that line that goes down. These AirPods take up like a good section of your ear, almost like you have a big one of those gauge rings.
It's about an inch wide circle.
Yeah.
Inch diameter circle. But it looks like it does have gestures.
Yeah, it has gesture control on it, and so you can tap and you get Cortana in your ear.
So $200 right
These
now.
These are $200.
And $180 for eligible students, parents, teachers, and military.
And I believe if we look up real fast, the Pixel Buds, these
those are the ones that came out, you said, just a couple weeks before Windows released their, or Microsoft. I keep confusing the two. Microsoft is the company, Windows is their product?
Yes.
Okay.
And the Pixel Buds.
Okay, so the Pixel Buds
started at $179 to begin with.
Okay.
And they have a smaller form factor in your ear.
Yeah, about
it's
almost half the diameter.
Exactly. And they also have this the case for them versus the the Surface Buds is a lot smaller. This case will actually fit in your pocket.
For the Pixel Buds.
For the Pixel Buds versus the Surface earbuds. Oh, it's like it's a pretty big case.
It'll fit in
in a pocket, but
especially men's
pants. I think when I watched MKBHD's review of it, he was able to fit it in his coin pocket.
Oh, for the
Pixel Buds. And this definitely would not do that.
Yeah, that would be my biggest negative, the size.
Yeah, so it seems like if it came out before the Pixel Buds did, maybe. It would have been like a good alternative to the AirPods, because if you didn't have an AirPod, this is like almost, it's less price than an AirPod, I think by $50 even. And it was and it's, more compatible if you don't have Apple. But since the Pixel Buds came out already, I don't see why you would go over Surface Buds over the Pixel Buds unless you really need those Windows integrations.
Are the sound qualities about the same?
Yeah, they're about the same. They're not as good as the AirPods from what I understand. But they're not. I think the Pixel Buds do have better sound. they are more for uh um kind of casual listeners. They're not, if you're looking for very deep, um I guess a lot of the bass is what I've been hearing. A lot of the deep bass, the Pixel Buds seem to be missing that a little.
Mm.
But if you're a casual music listener, you probably would notice the difference between the Surface earbuds and the Pixel earbuds. Um, just I haven't gotten a lot of reviews from the Surface earbuds. I don't even know if anybody's really trying them. So I imagine my perspective would be that they're probably not quite as good, but the casual listener probably wouldn't notice.
All
Um,
right.
so yeah, that's the earbuds. And then we have the Surface headphones. Now this I actually quite like. A lot of people want the over-the-ear headphones, and having a smart headphone version set like that, I don't think there's a lot of those in the market. Having one with the volume controls on the headphones, the gestures and things like that. And from what I understand, they are quite good. The sound is quite balanced. The they sound really good. They don't compare to a what is it? I think the comparison that I saw was to the Sony like $350 headphones, and they not don't sound quite as good as that. But for $250, you're getting a very quality headset. And also I believe these also are able to take voice too, so you can make phone calls on this,
That's
and
nice.
the phone call quality is good too.
That's convenient. I like the sound of that as well.
Yeah. So this I'd see as a if you're going to get headphones from Surface, this would be the way to go.
The band doesn't look adjustable, but maybe it is.
There's an adjustment
Okay,
there.
there is some adjustment.
Yeah.
And can you scroll back down?
Oh, how about?
I was reading. Oh, it says adjustable noise cancellation.
Yes, there's adjustable noise cancellation. So if you want to tune out the background noise, what I understand, it's not as, it's not, it doesn't completely tune it out. You can't get perfect noise cancellation out of it, but it does pretty well. And the fun fact is that the noise cancellation and I think the volume are on physical sliders versus just gestures. So there are gestures that you can use on it, but there's a couple. The volume control and the noise cancellation are on physical sliders that you can that just fine tune, and it feel like just having that kind of physical feel to it. I think a lot of people have liked.
Yeah.
And so that was the Surface lineup that Microsoft just announced, and that I like the way Surface is going personally. I think the Surface brand is pretty good. I have had a Surface, the original Surface Pro, and at the time it was great. It still works. I mean, I've messed with it a lot. I put Android on it a lot. I've reinstalled Windows on it a lot. I've I have upgraded to Windows 10 when it had the ability to, because that was the only device I had Windows 8 on because it came with it. But as soon as the free upgrade to Windows 10, I didn't even think twice. I just went straight to Windows 10, and it made the laptop a lot better, the Surface Pro. And it's only got 4 gigs of RAM on there. Still quite powerful though. It still does a lot of what I need because I use it for work things. And yeah, I was as a tech, I'm able to transport it around if I need to see, if I need access to anything, or one time I had to figure out the network infrastructure for this hotel, and I'm able to just bring it into the server room. Link up with it and see what's going on. I did it was perfect portability for that kind of issue, and that it was. I've liked the Surface product since then, and if I do get a Surface product, I probably get the Surface Book.
I like the headphones. I do have some over-ear headphones that I'm happy with at the moment, so it'll probably be years, and new ones will be out by then. So I'll have to fully determine what, but those are what I'm interested in of these myself. Any other topics for today?
Let me just take a look real fast to see if there was something else that I had jotted down.
Fair enough.
Oh, you brought up earlier about the Nintendo Switch person that built the trackpad for the.
Oh, I like that idea. So the Nintendo Switch is pretty prone to, what is it called?
Controller drift.
Controller drift. Is it only the left stick?
We've only had the right stick happen.
Oh, for yours it's the right.
Because
mine it's the left.
I thought it was you. It's your head dragging down, right? And on Minecraft, or are you walking?
Oh, maybe it is the right one. I was always trying to fix it with the. Visual spatial is not my forte, and video games is definitely not a strong suit for me. So, anyways, apparently I've been trying to fix my controller drift, moving the wrong controller.
So it's been the right one for both of ours.
The right hand side knob. So, like this one, then it just drifts down.
Yeah. So without touching it, Nintendo has a setting in the Switch where you can actually see what buttons are being pushed at any time. And if you go there and you look, you'll see that this sometimes will just say that it's being pulled down, even if you're not even touching the controller. And that's for the same issue with both of our controllers. I don't know if it goes any other direction on either of the sticks. The picture that we saw, it was he changed this top stick, but I don't know if he just changed both of them or whatever. But the guy that you were talking about ended up changing out the sticks for touchpads.
Yeah, and I was really excited about that because, well, it seems like it'd be more accurate and sensitive for when you're trying to move around in a video game. And accuracy can make video games a lot more frustrating when it's not there. So having a trackpad would help a lot of people, especially like those of us who aren't the most coordinated, to have that little bit of increased ease. And then also it's less torque, less repetitive effort your thumb is putting out, and so it's more ergonomic to just move your thumb over the surface. And I'm kind of excited about that, and I hope that it becomes something that other companies will either pick up or be inspired by.
Yeah, the idea of trackpads on controllers, I'm still half in mind with. On the one hand, yeah, it would be more accurate. From what I understand, most of the time it is. I think there still might be some configuration that it might be harder to use and things like that, especially for a newcomer to gaming consoles. Like, it's not, a trackpad's not as intuitive as a joystick.
Yeah.
And but yeah. On the other hand, though, there has been more touch screen devices on controllers. You had the Steam controller.
I haven't gotten or used
you
that,
haven't used
but that
it.
one's interesting.
I can actually pull it up here,
so I can at least see it. Yeah, one of your buddies was saying he liked the Steam controller though.
Yeah, so this is the Steam controller.
Oh, and the right
And
thumb part is the touch.
It does have, yeah, 2 touchpads, and then it also has an analog stick as well. And the touchpads, you like.
So, since I haven't used one of these touchpad ones, I'm a little curious how it actually works. What if there's biofeedback? I would assume it's instantaneous, but is it like when your thumb's in the top half, you're moving in that direction versus bottom half? And if it is the case, why isn't there any kind of, like on the left one where there's the plus, some kind of physical kinesthetic feedback that would tell you which part of the circle you're in if that's how it registers?
They probably doesn't want to have the it's relative to the center, right? So anything up of the center would be, and I think different games can program it differently. But like,
does this thing?
If you were to touch, like, let's say this is a touchpad. If you were to touch at the top, it would be the same thing as pushing up on the control thumbstick.
And so I'm curious, is there any kind of like, does it rock just a little bit? There's no kind of biofeedback? Does
it probably vibrates. The controller probably vibrates.
Okay, so biofeedback in that general sense, but I'm talking specifically to your thumb.
Outside of just like compared to the rest of the controller, so like when you touch off to the side, if you're touching the far edge of the side versus the far edge of that side, you would understand which part of the controller that you're touching. A lot of
I'd have to try it, I think, to be able to have more commentary on it.
It's not again, like, it's not very intuitive just by looking at the controller to understand how it works. When you look at this,
and I think
you understand how that's gonna function.
Yeah.
And so that's one of my points about it, but there have been more. So you have the Steam controller, the PlayStation 4 controller has touchpad on there.
That rectangle part in the middle, that's different because I think they expect you to use an isolated index finger to manipulate on that one.
Yes.
And so then you're also having to hold your extremity up, and so it's not like a prolonged thing, it's for very small few far between things, right?
Yes, it's not used as a replacement for the thumbsticks. They still use the thumbsticks as so it's different. But it is an integration of touchscreen into controllers, and to see how far that will go one day.
What was it actually used for in that?
Lots of different games used it at different things. So I think one game that I can't remember what game it was, but in the menus, you could use it to as like an additional button. So source. So let's say you had these buttons, and let's say all these buttons were taken up. Let's you're jumping and things like that, and then these buttons are your jumping and whatnot. These buttons are like changing your, I don't know, whatever you're doing. And then if you had a touchpad in the middle and you had like a third menu, let's say grenades or whatever, I guess grenades usually have a button, but let's say you have a third menu, you're in an RPG that has some sort of unique mechanic, and using this to just swipe up and down or left and right.
Gestures, not positionally where on
No, it wouldn't change it positionally.
That makes more sense. But see, I never really... The only game I played, they used it, was you just clicked on it.
Yeah,
so
it was
like
also
another
2
button.
extra buttons, which was useful. A lot of games did not use the touchpad part of it, mostly because they didn't...
Other platforms didn't have it.
Yeah, other platforms didn't have it, so they didn't bother controlling, making anything for the touchpads. A lot of the game... Oh, I think Little Big Planet, you might have been able to use it to control like where your guy was looking, your little sack boy. If I remember correctly, because before that they also have 6-axis in those controllers, and I think that they didn't utilize that enough. And after using this controller, which has a similar system, the gyroscope on there, to aim is really cool. Using that, you get a lot more precision, and I think PlayStation has had that ability since the PlayStation 3, and they haven't really utilized it.
Yeah, I agree that the aiming with that slight adjustment, just tilting your controller in space, is very helpful.
Yeah. Um, but that was the Switch. A guy manually hacked his Switch and he custom made controllers for his Switch that had a touchpad in there, and it was pretty cool. And hopefully, uh, maybe Nintendo takes it into consideration when making a second generation Switch. Um, or maybe in the future, a lot more gamepads will have touchpads instead. Um, the other argument for them would be that the less movement, the less mechanics in a controller, the less prone they are to breaking. Right. So if there's less movement on the controller, less things moving, less things being pushed in, and it's touch based,
Yeah,
it's less likely to break.
that makes sense.
And it's flatter too. You don't have these awkward things. You can put that in a bag and you don't have to worry about these getting all messed up. So I think it'll be interesting to see where controllers go from there on. And but I guess that's more also for a gaming episode, which we probably will be doing soon. But I think for today, that's everything.
All right. Well, take care. Have a good one.
Enjoy the week, guys. Have a nice day. Bye. Okay.
I sound super weird, but we did it. We got it through. Got through it. And the last one's even more informal. I'm glad we did this one first though, because like, whew, being able to like relax is nice.